This is a story about one of Britain's bank managers, Dale Semper, a really successful bank manager. His mother Lynette has worked for the NHS for 20 years. His partner of 2 decades, Denise, works in human resources.
Yeah. He said he's too big to get kisses, you know.
And this is the story of how their happy, successful lives have been almost destroyed.
I'm accustomed to being pulled over and stopped when I'm driving cars and so on. I'm accustomed to it. I get it. Never liked it, but I understood, right? But this particular day when they've come out, it was so many police officers. And they said, we're here to arrest you for firearms. I'm like, firearms? I'm like, really? I said, no, you got the wrong person. I don't get this. I'm on my way to work. I'm a bank manager. I do not get this. And I'm arguing. I'm like trying to explain myself. I'm like, no, this can't be me.
It was the most traumatic experience ever. Being pulled over, and before you could blink, the handcuffs were on Dale and he was pulled outside the car, and I was trying to understand what is going on. What did we do? Trying to get a sense from the cops and not understanding what's going on, and basically just being shouted at to stay in the car, be quiet, we're talking to him. Having this played out before somebody actually gave me some information, we're arresting him on firearm. I'm just like, okay, I can breathe now because I know what it is, and I know we don't have any firearms, so, you know, let's let this play out.
Police told Dale he was being arrested for possession of a firearm, and they had a warrant to search his home.
So at that time, I'm thinking, you have about 15, 20 people here. What is it what could I have actually done to have made something like this happen? Why are they here?
Around the same time, police were breaking into his mother's flat while she worked at the local hospital.
I worked for the NHS 20 years coming July. And to hear that guns going through my flat, are they crazy? And when I came home, I saw my door busted. So there's a padlock on my door. A lot of things were scattered on my house. All of my drawer with my panties, my bras, everything was pulled out, thrown on the floor. I wouldn't even wish that on my worst enemy.
Back at Dale's, the police's line of questioning, which he says he was later to learn underpinned the allegations against him, was how could he afford the things in his house? A nice car.
One of the comments the police officer even said when they came in, how did you get to have all these things? I'm like, have all of what? I don't understand. And he's like, it's clear that in one of the statements they've written, they say we're living above our means. I'm like, how can you know we're living above our means? You don't know what I do.
No firearm was found in his house, his partner's or his mother's. And for the first, but certainly not the last time, the family thought that would be the end of it. But during the search, police found just under £2,000 in Dale's safe. Initially, the arrest was for firearms possession. Now it was for money laundering.
How is it possible from firearm to money laundering? Something is not quite right. And from the onset, the undertone to this whole investigation was, look at us, we are black people. This is the reason why this is continuing, and there is no end to this. We both go to work, we both put in our 9 to 5, we make sure we do that. You know, we didn't come from much, but we're making sure that together we're on the same page, we're doing it for ourselves, and, you know, we don't ask for anything. We're out there fighting for it.
Dale was suspended from his job at the bank. Police obtained a financial restraint order freezing all his assets. Dale, who owns a number of buy-to-let properties and with his partner shares a 6-figure income, says he couldn't even get £1 out of the cash point. Terrified, the couple replaced their legal aid solicitor with a private lawyer for several weeks, focusing on justifying all of Dale's financial dealings.
The information he provided was, I have an explanation. I've explained my assets, my finances. He produced, within 24 hours, a file because they said his watch, his jewellery, his possessions were all tainted items. So under the Proceeds of Crime Act 2002, They made the assertion that everything was part of the proceeds of crime. They have used shoestring or false intelligence that there's a young black man with no previous convictions driving a brand new X6, enjoying life, and then the next day he's the enemy of the state, where his assets, his finances are paralysed, his mental health compromised. His whole life is literally being watched.
7 weeks after it was put in place, the financial restraint order against him was dropped, as there was no lawful grounds for it to remain in place. He was awarded £10,000 in costs by the Crown Prosecution Service. Once again, Dale assumed this meant the case against him would be dropped. Once again, he was wrong. After months of asking, the Met Police finally provided the original warrant and details of the information they used to get it.
It actually said that I was involved in a sham marriage, money laundering. I'm thinking, what? I go by 4 different aliases, different names. I'm thinking, okay, what? I'm into drugs, human trafficking, and the worst one was terrorism. I'm like,
Alongside this litany of enormous allegations, they also had to tackle a series of basic errors in the police information about Dale, a British passport holder born in Montserrat.
There is this element of being from Jamaica, which he isn't from Jamaica. I am Jamaican. I'm proud of being Jamaican. He has no links to Jamaica apart from me, but he's now it's part of what they're investigating. First, he's in the UK illegally. That's something that could have been quashed very easily. You know, he's got ties to trafficking. Trafficking, come on. It's like they've packed the case so highly for us to defend ourselves that it's gonna overflow, and the overflow is for him to end up in prison.
Still suspended from work for months and months, he was left in limbo.
One time he called me, he was going to the gym, and he called me, he said, "Mommy, I'm at the park," and I was going to work. And he called me and he was crying, and he said, "Mommy, I'm going crazy. Why are they doing this to me?" You could imagine hearing that from your child. Oh dear, it's a nightmare I can't wake up from.
How dark was it for you?
it was really, really bad. It got to the point where sometimes I felt like I didn't even want to be around. And she's like, "Don't hurt yourself. Promise me you won't hurt yourself." Me and my mother, we went through so much, and I never wanted her to ever look back at me and say, "This is what my son has amounted to." It was such shame. It was a shame.
18 months after he was first arrested, he's arrested again at 20 to 7 in the evening on suspicion of possession of firearms. None are found. At 7:15, just 35 minutes later, he is de-arrested. People will say there's no smoke without fire. It's entirely possible that the Met Police would say, we had credible intelligence that justified this investigation.
This started off with false intelligence. A man of no previous convictions, no bad character, not touching a firearm in his life. An explanation of every penny he's ever earned in his life, from pay slips to tax returns to cash. The question I'd be asking myself as I was looking at this case would be, to go this far, surely, with all the costs, God knows how much the financial investigation and the CPS spent on this very 26-month case, in the public purse, as well as my client defending himself privately, you'd think that there was something. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing.
Dale's lawyer says from the beginning, police obtained warrants based on a wholly inaccurate portrayal of Dale's character, and that if he'd been a white bank manager, this would never have happened. On the 11th of October, the Met Police tell Dale's lawyer no further action will be taken in the case. There was no apology.
I've had to become the best bank manager for years, for quite a few years. It's something of memories of my past and what I've achieved. But the person I was before now, I feel like that person is now gone. Like I said, I feel like something has been taken away from me, and I feel like I can never get that back. If when someone rings my doorbell or even knocks on my door, automatically I think someone is there to get me. If I'm driving and I see a police siren coming up, even if it's an ambulance, I'm thinking someone is trying to get me. Constantly. I just can't get it out of my head.
Dale is back at work, though at a lower grade. His hopes of becoming a director in the bank all gone. It's already cost him around £140,000 in legal costs. He's very conscious of others in a similar situation who couldn't afford to defend themselves. He now intends to sue the Met for damages. The family hope for an apology.
It's just really hard to kind of like think, okay, the investigation's over, so okay, we can now breathe. I don't think we will ever be able to breathe.
It means so much to me that people that's around me, they would know that I was innocent. I just feel that if you're good people and you're doing things correctly, in the end, you will prevail. It will happen. It has to happen.